And in other news, Chinese entities buying U.S. agricultural land have been a major issue. Senators on the Agricultural Committee have been forming plans to look into these Chinese entities and their U.S. land purchases. Both the House and the Senate have been planning to hold public hearings to discuss how to handle these Chinese entities. The Senate has decided to push their public hearings on the foreign farmland purchases to the fall. North Dakota Senator, member of the Senate Agriculture Committee, John Hoeven, joins me. Good evening, sir.
Hi, Greta. How are you?
I'm very well. So, sir, how big an issue is this about the Chinese buying agricultural land, and what the committee's going to do? Are they also going to look into other countries buying foreign land, or is this only focused on China?
No, it's other countries too. So the first part of your question, it's a concern. We're obviously very concerned about China buying not only farmland but other assets, particularly critical assets in the United States, and that's why we've put forward legislation that it would essentially prevent individuals and entities from China, Russia, Iran, North Korea from acquiring farmland and farm-related companies in the United States. They would have to go through a CFIUS process. We would add the Secretary of Ag to the CFIUS board. But again, yeah, it's a real concern, and it's not just China, it's other adversaries as well.
Now, I assume that if we do this, China's going to do the same back to us. If we don't do something and we decide that we don't want China to have the land and we just take it from them, they're going to seize our assets in their country, whether it's an apple plant or whatever, right?
Well, what I would suggest to you is that already China is not playing fair, and if we need to get tough with them and force them to deal with. They're stealing our stuff all the time, whether it's copyright, patent infringement, technology, you name it, spying on us, and it's because we're not tough enough with them. You just talked about Secretary Yellen's visit over there, and she's bowing and so forth, and we're not dealing from a position of strength with China, and we need to. That's a fundamental problem.
Why did she bow? Is there something like, I mean, I can't figure this one out. And it wasn't once, it was like, I think 2 or 3 times. It is, I can't figure out, it was just sort of a nervous gesture and she wasn't thinking. But then I see sort of an aide going for her, I think. I think that was a U.S. aide.
Well, I don't know either, and again, it's the whole trip, and the Secretary of State Blinken, and I mean, we're going over there kind of hat in hand, and that sends absolutely the wrong message. It's a message of weakness. We need to stand up to China and say, hey, you either start acting in a responsible way, whether it's human rights, whether it's trade, whether it's how they treat Taiwan, all these different things, and we're gonna take a tough line with you and make sure that you do. I was just a month or a little more ago in Taiwan. I was in South Korea, and we need to work with our allies to push back on China vigorously. They respect and understand strength, not weakness.
All right, I was in North Dakota last October when the Chinese bought some land and they wanted to open that mill near the Air Force Base. That got shut down. What's become of that property? What's going to happen?
Well, the city of Grand Forks now is working on, essentially finding another value-added ag processing plant to come in. As you recall, Fufang was going to be a corn wet milling plant, but the issue is the proximity to the base. We were also very concerned that they were engaged in spying on a base that has very advanced technology, which is why, of course, we worked to put a stop to it. And that's where we need to update and have already been making some updates to the CFIUS process to prevent that kind of thing. So it's not just about them, Chinese acquiring land and assets in our country, it's also spying on our military installations. And so obviously we put a stop to that. And that's why we're advancing this legislation to try to prevent those kind of things in the future, as well as Chinese ownership of our critical resources.
Senator John Hoeven, thank you, sir.
Good to be with you.
And